What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Crystal. You're listening to the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host. Guys, today I have a lot of stuff I'm going to be talking about. I was supposed to have a guest on the show, by the way, this morning. But I think it didn't work out. He was supposed to be anonymous on the show due to the industry that he's working in, which is the chef industry. They're not very forgiving, and these are his words. They don't, I guess, allow for people to have freedom of speech and say their opinions on a public platform. I don't really know too many details about it, but I definitely respect his decision to not want to be on the show. I was going to have him on anonymously, but I totally understand, why he decided not to be on the show this morning. And so I'm going to do the show solo. I wanted to have another guest come on just so you guys can get somebody else's perspective and opinion on the topics that I'm going to be talking about, because it's sensitive topics, and it's also topics that I feel like are not getting covered in the media, and that includes social media. It includes our news channels. For some reason, people are not talking about all of the fuck shit that's going on in the world, and especially in our country. And I'm seeing more and more people that I personally wouldn't expect to speaking out on it, especially on TikTok. But some housekeeping stuff first, guys. You guys know, if you've been listening to the show a while, I do have a website out. It's www.therealdealpodcast.net, not .com, .net. Check out the website. Let me know what you guys think. I completely created that thing on my own, so if it's trash, that tells you everything you need to know. But I would just love your guys' feedback, on the things that I'm doing, on the topics that I'm discussing. And I really just appreciate the loyal listeners that are always tuning in every week. I really, really, truly do appreciate you guys. And I hope I do a good job, especially with today's show, so that you're able to share today's show with somebody else who may not be knowledgeable on all the things that's going on, especially the topics that I'm going to be discussing, because I feel like it's something that is crucial. It's absolutely important, and not too many people are talking about it, especially in my peer group. So today I'm going to be discussing the Nashville shooting. Rest in peace to those 3 little angels that literally got their lives robbed of them, and also the 3 adults that died in that shooting as well. So I'm going to be discussing that. I'm also going to be discussing the collapse of the US dollar, because that's something that is going to affect all of us, whether we understand it or not. And I'm also going to touch on taxes, the tax code, why the US purposefully, let me not say the US, let me be specific, why the government purposefully and intentionally does not teach us about the tax code, or what taxes even are, why they even tax us, why they use our taxes, what percentage they're taxing us at. Because I'm pretty sure if they educated all of us on that and we knew exactly what it was, which I'm going to share with you guys today, everybody would be pissed off, as we should be, because we're literally getting robbed left and right, and it's ridiculous. And it's I think back to the times when I was in school and I learned about the Boston Tea Party. Those motherfuckers back then, they literally had a revolt over a 3% tax on tea. 3% tax on tea. And today it's 2023 and we're getting taxed out the ass, and nobody is seeming to bat an eye. People think that that's normal, and it's not normal, and it shouldn't be normal. It would be different if the government was actually using our taxes to fund things in our interests, right? Like better schools, better roads, quality public spaces, helping the homeless out that's on the street, creating reform programs to, help those individuals, rather than doing the complete opposite by allowing fentanyl to come through our border, getting our children, right? Our young children, our peers addicted to this deadly drug, and then having them be on the street, don't even care about them, But then we're sending all these billions of dollars to Ukraine that could be actually used in a tremendous way within our own country. And I'm all for helping other countries, right? Like, I'm all for that. We should be helping other countries. But in order to do that, like, it goes back to that saying, if your cup is not full, you can't continue to give and give and give. You're going to eventually run out of the liquid in your cup. You have to fill your cup to be able to pour into others. And this it's the same with the country. It's a simple concept. Like, if we're not taking care of our own, if we don't even have our own shit together in this country, why is it that our government thinks that they're so high and mighty that they're able to go into other countries and tell them what to do? Especially, so I'll start off with this, especially when our own Department of Defense has failed its 5th audit in a row. I don't think y'all caught what I said. The Department of Defense, the Pentagon, they go through an audit yearly, right? They failed their 5th audit in a row. So then now you have the Biden administration adding all of these IRS agents, right, to the payroll to monitor us, to monitor our Zelle, to monitor small businesses, to make sure that we're paying every single penny that is quote unquote owed through taxes to the government. But our own Department of Defense has failed its 5th audit in a row and nobody's batting an eye. I'm pretty sure most of y'all that listen to the show aren't even aware of this. And that's a problem. And it's because they don't cover it. I think they're trying to hide it. Because unless you go actually searching on Google or whatever your search engine is, it's actually really hard to find the details on what's going on. And so I have an article here ready for you guys. It's actually from the U.S. Department of Defense's website. So it's on their website. They give us details as to what the audit entails, which is massive, right? Because the Department of Defense, they literally have over 643,000 assets, almost 644,000 assets throughout the entire U.S. and throughout our U.S. territories as well. And these includes buildings, structures, utilities, roads, fences, and more, right? This number was updated in 2022, at the end of 2022, just so you guys are aware. So it's a pretty accurate number. The article goes in depth. First of all, they really tried to make it seem like it wasn't as bad as it actually is, but I'm still going to read it to you anyways because this is coming straight from the source, right? So I'm going to read you parts of it, so just bear with me, guys. So it says the DOD, Department of Defense, makes audit progress, but much more needs to happen, official says. And this was written on November 16th, 2022. Okay, so the headline is saying they made progress. Supposedly, right? That's a lie. But anyways, we're going to get into it. So it says the annual audit is a huge undertaking with independent accountants looking at a department with $3.5 trillion in assets. So the Department of Defense has $3.5 trillion of assets that they need to keep track of. And they failed that audit. They don't know where trillions of dollars are. They cannot locate it, and they can't tell us where it is. Like, supposedly they have no idea where this money is going, where it's been. Supposedly, right? This is what they say. So the article continues. The audit looks at every aspect of the department, an organization of about 2.9 million people with one of the federal government's largest portfolios of real property. This is what I mentioned to you guys earlier. There are more than 643,900 assets that includes buildings, structures, utilities, roads, and fences, and more, located on over 4,860 sites worldwide as of the beginning of fiscal year 2022. Then the article, if you go a little bit down, because it just tells us, this next part of the article goes into depth about what those territories are, where they are, and things like that, which for today's show, I don't feel is important, the location of these territories. I want to get into why they failed their audit. So I'm going to be reading you guys an article from the responsiblestatecraft.org. It's an organization that basically tells the truth, in my opinion. Like, they're not right, they're not left, they're not in the middle. They just report on what's going on in the world, which is how our media should be doing stuff. And so, since I felt this was a very in the middle kind of organization, I decided to choose this article to share with you guys today. And this article will also be on the website. And so the article reads, "The Pentagon fails its fifth audit in a row." And then there's a little subheadline that says, "If the Defense Department can't get its books straight, how can it be trusted with a budget of more than $800 billion per year?" And this article was written on November 22nd, 2022. And it reads, "Last week, the Department of Defense revealed that it had failed its fifth consecutive audit. I would not say that we flunked." And this is a quote from the DOD comptroller, Mike McCord, which is like the head of the Pentagon, basically. And so he's saying, quote, "I would not say that we flunked. The process is important for us to do, and it is making us better. It is not making us get better as fast as we want." That's from Mike McCord, right? The head of the Pentagon. That's what he's saying. But his office did not note that the Pentagon only managed to account for 39% of its $3.5 trillion in assets. So let me break this down for you guys that may not understand what's going on. The Department of Defense, right? They go through an audit every year. And they have failed for the last 5 consecutive years, okay? And this last time that they failed, the most recent time, they only managed to account for 39% of its $3.5 trillion in assets. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. Like, that is a fuck ton of money. And you're telling me that the Department of Defense basically lost 61% of those assets? How irresponsible is that? And then you have the fucking leader of the Pentagon saying that, "Oh, I would not say that we flunked." Boy, you failed, like, miserably. Miserably. And I hate that these people are trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal and people take it for face value for some reason. But they completely failed that audit. Like, and it's ridiculous that there's trillions of dollars unaccounted for. Where is that money? Where did it go? That's our tax dollars. I don't think y'all are understanding this. That's our tax money. That's the money that we all busted our ass to work for. The government takes a percentage, supposedly to use it for our best interests. But you're telling me the Department of Defense, our military, where our military gets our funds and things like that, they can't even find 61% of the money? They don't know where the fuck it's at? Like, what are you saying right now? That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And the fact that not a lot of people know about this, that the media is not covering it, bro, something needs to change. It needs to change because if the Pentagon is not even holding themselves accountable, but then you have the Biden administration, like I said before, putting all these IRS agents on the payroll to basically monitor the citizens, us, to make sure that we're paying our taxes. And you're telling me the tax money we're already giving you guys, the trillions of dollars, you don't even know where the fuck it's at? Why aren't more people pissed off about this? This is our money, bro. Like, you guys don't understand how good our country could be, how clean our roads could be, how the homeless situation could get taken care of, how we could be taking care of our citizens, how this country could flourish, how our military and our veterans who get treated like shit once they come back to the country, how much better they could be treated, how much more resources they could have. But no, we got people in our government that are literally stealing our fucking money. They're stealing our money. It's not that they can't find it. They're stealing our money. And nobody's pissed off about it. Think about it like this, right? I'm not even going to read the rest of the article. I might, I don't know. But I'm like, think about it like this. You're at home with your family. Whoever it is that you care about in your circle, right? Y'all are home, vibing, chilling, having a great time, spending quality time together, right? A thief comes to your house and tries to steal all of the hard-earned shit that you've worked for, right? Let's just say they take 30%. 30% of all the hard shit that you worked for in your house, they take it. They take the food off the table for your kids, the food off the table for your parents, the food off the table for yourself, for your spouse. They take 30% of everything. They just take it. They're not telling you what they're using that for. They just straight up stole your shit. You're telling me y'all would allow that to happen? And for those of you that are listening that don't really care, they're like, yo, Crystal, why are you making a big deal about this? It's because it is a big deal. It is a massive deal that our government thinks that they can be tyrannous, basically. I don't even know if that's a word, but fuck it. They're basically tyrannous, okay? They're doing tyranny shit against its citizens, and we're not doing anything about it. Like, bro, I just saw this TikTok yesterday that my girl showed me. And in France, I don't know what caused it exactly, but in France, there are people boycotting. They're not working. There are people walking the streets in groups, united, because of whatever government policy that had just came out. The French citizens were not with it. They didn't like it. So they decided they were all going to unite as a unit. They were all going to boycott their jobs. They're not going to pay those taxes. Oh, I remember now. So basically, the French government said that the retirement age for them is no longer going to be 62 years old. It's going to be 64 years old. And boy, let me tell you, the French citizens had a field day with that shit. So you see the videos where they're going out in the streets united, and then the trash workers, who are super important, may I say, they also boycotted their jobs in response to absolutely not. We don't agree with this. We don't want the retirement age to be higher than what it already is. Even though it's 2 years, they don't agree with it. And so the French government is now working on ways to bring that bill back, basically. Like, okay, like obviously the people aren't happy about this. We need to do something different. And then you come to the motherfucking United States of America. We got trillions of dollars just in thin air, is what they're saying. They don't care. The head of the Pentagon is like, oh, it's not that bad. And there's just so much treasonous shit going on in our government. The way we've all been taken advantage of for the last, I don't even know how many years. People think that this shit is normal. I'm here to tell you this shit is not normal. Okay, back then, like way back then, before 1776, or probably right about that time, when we gained our independence from England, bro, if those people were to somehow reincarnate themselves and come back here in 2023, they'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, y'all are not free. Y'all are not free, okay? We claim and we say that we're the freest country in the world. Bro, that is all bullshit. We are not free, okay? Our rights are literally being taken from us inch by inch by inch, and it's been happening for years. And it's because they don't educate us on the important things, right? Your average person is not even included in the local elections, don't even know who to vote for. People go and vote for the president of the United States, but nobody's out there voting for your Senate, for your House of Representatives, for your sheriff, if you guys have a sheriff election, for your governor, for your mayor. People don't realize how important even those elections are, because these are people in the government that are supposed to be representing us. But how are they going to be representing us if we don't even know who they are, what they stand for? We're just filling out ballots when we go and vote for the president. It's ridiculous. We need to be more involved in that entire process for things to really change. But then we have people saying from the left and the right side, right, that elections are being rigged. Either way it goes. If Donald Trump wins, Democrats are saying, oh, the election was rigged. He stole those votes. Joe Biden wins. You got the right saying, oh, the election was rigged. He didn't really get those votes. So it's like not even our election process is supposedly safe. because we have all this new technology coming out where people are voting electronically, where, in my opinion, I feel like when things are electronic, it's easy for someone to hack into that system, whatever it is, and change it in favor to whatever they want, basically. And even with Tesla, right? Now, I like Elon Musk. I do. I don't really know exactly what he got going on, because there's some things that he does and that he says is sketchy to me. But overall, he seemed like a real dude, right? So with Tesla, I say that because I'm not trying to shit on Elon. I'm just giving my opinion. Tesla is an all-electric vehicle, right? If the government gets their hands on Tesla cars, and let's say now that because they're pushing all of this electric vehicle bullshit, let's say that Tesla gets, the government gets a hold of Tesla cars, they can control where it is that we're going. They can control how fast we're driving. They can control if our car even turns on or moves at all. They can control that from their little control pad wherever they're at. And if you think I'm crazy and you think that's not true, look into it. Look into it. Just look into it yourself and tell me I'm wrong. And so with this whole Pentagon shit, it's like, man, it's just wild to me. It's wild to me that even just that alone, them failing the 5th audit in a row, and there's trillions of dollars unaccounted for, trillions of dollars that I know I busted my ass to work for, right? Like, obviously not that entire trillion belonged to me, but it belonged to all of y'all. And nobody's upset about it. It just really blows my mind. And I feel like part of it has to do is because we're not being educated on it. We're not being told what's really going on. But also, guys, we don't need to be told. We need to start looking. We cannot trust our government. At this point, unfortunately, we cannot. Okay, and I'm not anti-government. I do think our government systems and structures work if the people that are supposed to be working in our best interest actually worked in our best interest. Okay, the system works. It's the people in the system that make it not work. And depending on however they feel, left or right, it swings back and forth. That pendulum swings. And man, like, we have to stop being lazy and have to stop expecting shit and news to come to us. We need to go out and we need to put our critical thinking hat on and read articles from both sides and come up with your own opinion on what it is that's going on in our country. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, with the shit going on with Russia and China and Iran and Saudi Arabia, now they're uniting and basically saying that they're going to ditch the US dollar when they do their trades and come up with their own currency that they're going to use. I don't think you guys know how deep of a hole our government has dug us in. So if the US dollar collapses, which is the second topic I want to talk about, it is going to literally, I'm not just saying this, okay? Take me for my word. And the word of actually what's going on, the facts. We are literally going to be a third world country if the US dollar collapses. And we already are on the road for that to happen. Because we literally have our main enemies, our biggest enemies conspiring against the United States and basically ditching our US dollar, which means we don't have a say-so or as much power in the trading world. And so, guys, I do have an article that I do want to read to you guys. It's from Forbes.com. And the headline reads, "Could the US dollar collapse?" This came out March 29, 2023, which is interesting that they did write this article around that time frame where, like I said, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran were having those meetings on how they're going to ditch the US dollar and come up with their own currency to start trading. And so the article reads, what is a currency collapse, right? Let's start with that. A currency collapse is when a currency loses all of its value. This might seem crazy, but it makes more sense when you consider that money is simply an IOU from the government. It used to be that paper money, coins, and even numbers on a bank statement represented an amount of gold in our Federal Reserve. In those days, money represented an IOU for that amount of gold. Now, the system isn't fully backed by gold, but the concept remains the same. Now they're backed by the weight of the United States, reflecting everything within the economy. So in order for a dollar to have value, society needs to believe that the United States has value. Given how many taxpayers, businesses, and valuable assets are in the United States, it's hard to argue that it doesn't have value. In fact, the reason why the US was able to move off the gold standard was because it had so much economic value. So, a currency collapse is when there is no longer any trust that the asset, country, or organization has sufficient value to reflect the currency. This can happen for a number of reasons. And the article reads, hyperinflation. This is one of the reasons. When hyperinflation occurs, every dollar becomes less valuable. $10 might buy you a 12 case of Pepsi today, and then tomorrow that same $10 only buys you 6 Pepsis. The currency's value becomes less and less, and this can create a spiral that ends up in it becoming practically worthless. We've seen an example of this in Zimbabwe in the early 2000s. So that's the first reason that our US dollars can collapse, right? The second reason listed on this article is political instability. So we're already experiencing hyperinflation, right? I just want to pause right here and say that. And we are also experiencing political instability. And they list this as the second reason. So the article reads, while not something we expect to see in the US, speaking of political instability, governments can be overthrown. When there is a military coup, a war, or another event resulting in political upheaval, a country's currency can often be a casualty. Now, you know what? I'll give my opinion after I read the article. My bad, y'all. So that's the second reason, political instability. We had hyperinflation, political instability. Now the third reason, high debt, which, may I add, we also have in this country. Okay, article reads, many countries have high levels of debt these days, but this is all relative to the strength of the underlying economy. When a country has very high debt and a shrinking economy, this can cause a flight of assets and a collapse of the currency. These are just a few examples. Others include trade imbalances, loss of status as a global reserve currency, natural disasters or war. All of them relate to instability within a country, as the currency is reflective of the global financial system's trust in that country. Then the article reads, the US dollar's special status. Why the US dollar is so special, not just within our country, but out there in the world with trade. This is what Forbes has to say about it. Unlike any other country in the world, the US dollar has a special place in the global financial system. That's because it's the global reserve currency. That means that it's considered as the safest currency there is, with many other countries keeping US dollars in reserve. This isn't just a theoretical detail, it's a practical one too. For example, many global financial contracts are denominated in US dollars, and many countries who have struggled to maintain a stable currency use US dollars as their own national currency. Right now, there are 11 foreign countries that use the US dollar as their official currency. These include Panama, El Salvador, Zimbabwe, and Timor-Leste. The US dollar has been able to gain and maintain this special status because of the strength of the economy. The US is still the biggest economy in the world by far, with an annual GDP of $23 trillion. Second is China with $17.7 trillion. And way back in third is Japan with $4.9 trillion. All of this is to say, for the US dollar to collapse, it would take something pretty major, like a World War III type situation. Bro, okay, I have to stop here for a second. This article was written March 29, 2023. We know what's been going on overseas. the tensions with Russia and Ukraine, the tensions with Russia, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia now. This article is trying to tell people that the US dollar can collapse, but it is highly unlikely unless bada boom, bada bing, bada boom happens. And let me tell you, okay, reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, and reason 4, hyperinflation, political upheaval, high debt, a World War III type situation. That's all taking place right now currently, today. And this article written March 29, 2023 is telling us that the US dollar collapse is highly unlikely. Like, bro, what kind of idiot do you have to be to believe that shit? When you're literally telling us these 4 things will lead and can lead to the collapse of the US dollar. But don't worry about that though, because ain't none of this happening. So all the shit that we are seeing with our eyes, that we're hearing all over the world, bro, don't even pay attention to that. It's not happening. That's basically what this article is telling us. And I chose this article because of how ridiculous this shit is. Like, this is literally how our media works. They think we're stupid. They literally think we're stupid. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a rocket scientist, right? I'm not really good at math. I'm not the smartest person in the world or the most intellectual, okay? But I'm also not a fucking dumbass. I can understand what this article is trying to do and also what it failed to do, because it failed to get its message across by saying that the collapse of the US dollar is highly unlikely. It is actually extremely likely, and it is going to happen, because all of those things listed are already things that we're going through right now as a country. And then we have weak leadership in Washington, right? Joe Biden is losing his fucking mind. You could tell. He's not even losing it. He lost his shit. He is completely bonkers. And he hasn't addressed the nation about the possible collapse of the US dollar. Our own leader doesn't even know probably the extremities of the effects that if the US dollar does collapse, which it will if nothing changes, what that could do to us as a country. Now I'm going to read the rest of the article just to finish it out. And despite all of the uncertainty around the world, the US still remains one of the most stable countries there is. The chances that we see a collapse of the US dollar are very slim. And if it did happen, we'd probably have bigger problems to worry about than our investments. Yeah, no shit. Like where to get clean water and what to hunt for our dinner. The article then reads, how does currency collapse impact investors? I don't even care about that, so I ain't even gonna read it. Because most of y'all that are listening are not investors. So if y'all are investors, my bad. Go to the Forbes article that's going to be on the website. Y'all can read that, but I just don't feel it's necessary to include in the show. So the article reads, the bottom line. Currencies can and do collapse, but it's not a minor event. When a currency collapses, it's down to a significant economic or political event in a country that has a huge impact on its citizens. It's not a likely outcome at all in most countries around the world, and that's particularly true for the United States. Man, these people are so full of shit. Article reads, this is down to the US dollar status as the global reserve currency, which we know is no longer about to be a global reserve currency. Because China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran have all already decided and have come to a deal, right? This is all signed and put in place already. It's just a matter of when we're going to start feeling the effects. That they're coming up with their own currency to use to trade. They're not going to use US dollars anymore. And the reason they're not going to use US dollars anymore is because we got Joe Biden getting into the war in Ukraine when we have no right. We have no ties to Ukraine. And we're sending tanks over there now, which Joe Biden said himself, we won't send tanks to Ukraine because that would lead to World War III. He said that. Fast forward a few months later, he announces that he's going to start sending US military tanks to Ukraine. Like, bro, It's just insane. It's insane what's going on. And the reason I'm even mentioning all of this information, guys, and why I'm so pissed off and you can tell that I'm frustrated is because I see everything that's going on. I see it, but I'm only one person. I'm only one person. I can't unite fucking a trillion of me, a billion of me, and march and fight for what's right. I am doing this to educate you guys. I am doing this so that you guys can go do your own research and make whatever opinions you want to make about what's going on. But let's act on it. Let's unite and act on it. I'm not saying necessarily with violence, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not calling for violence. But I'm saying all the fucked up shit that's going on, we're not making our voices heard. And then we complain about how we're so oppressed, how we're so suppressed, why people are not listening to us. Bro, we're not doing a damn thing for people to listen to us. Okay? When somebody gets killed, when a black person gets killed, and you see all the black people and allies riot and protest, rightfully so, because someone got killed by the police. But then you have our government literally stealing from us, literally about to put us in a nuclear war, which could kill millions, if not billions of people. Okay, they're doing this shit intentionally. And we're not doing shit about it. We don't even have 100 motherfuckers in Washington right now protesting in front of the White House saying anything about it. And that is unacceptable, bro. That is unacceptable. We have so many people, so many leaders that are speaking about the shit, that have been speaking about it for years. And they get arrows thrown at them. They get people talking shit to them. When literally, like, we're just saying the shit we're saying for you guys. Obviously, it's for us too, right? Because we don't want to go to war. We don't want to die. We don't want to be impoverished, right? Like, we don't want this country to turn into a third world country. But nobody's doing anything about it. There's no unity. There's no rioting. There's no protesting. There's barely anybody speaking about it. And my question to you, my listeners, is, when is enough enough? What is it going to take? And this is a serious question. I really want to know, because I've had it. Like, whatever it took, that shit took. Okay, it taked. I don't know. See, I don't even speak proper English. What is it going to take for you to stand up, use your voice, use whatever resources you have to use, and use it for good? Use it to change what's actually going on in our world. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with what I call the bystander effect, where a lot of us, you know, we see what's going on. We see the fucked up shit that's going on. But we assume in our mind, because we have all of these activists, right, that somebody's going to do something to save us. Somebody is going to come along to save us. I'm here to tell you, nobody is coming to save us. If everybody has that mentality, who the fuck is going to come to save us? Who? You and me gotta be the ones to fucking change it. Whether that's speaking out, whether that's becoming an activist. Because I'm telling you right now, the jobs that we have, if we go to war, if the US dollar collapses, it's not going to mean shit anyways. It's not going to mean a motherfucking thing. So right now, today, wherever you're listening to this show, please, I am begging you, look into it yourself. Please go read the articles that I'm going to put on the website and do your own research. Make your own opinions and unite against this shit. Because this has to stop. There's going to be so much damage if we keep allowing these people in our government to take advantage of us, to steal from us, to lie to us, to manipulate us, and then to send us to a war that they created, but they're not going to fucking fight in it. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not fucking having that shit. So, please, just unite. And let's unite against this shit. I don't know what it's going to take, but I feel like with all the shit that's been going on and ain't nobody doing nothing about it, I don't know what it is going to take. I really don't. It's going to be too fucking late by the time you guys get that light bulb to switch on and realize what's really going on and how we've been taken advantage of all this time. Now, I just want to say too, before I end the show, I'm not going to talk about the Nashville shooting. I'll save that for another show because I got so pissed off talking about our freaking government. Please just do your own research. Okay, look into it. Don't listen to what the media is telling you. Read the articles from all sides. Formulate your own opinion. We have to stop being lazy, and we need to start taking this country back for us. We can't keep letting these people run it the way that they are because they're running it into the fucking ground. And I promised myself that I was not going to curse anymore on the show because I do want to be more professional, and I can be professional. When I'm working my 9 to 5, I don't curse at all. It's possible for me not to curse, believe it or not. But, bro, this shit just pisses me off. Like, all the stuff that's going on, like, it really, like, it, like, boils. It boils underneath my fucking skin. Because I don't know, I'm doing everything I can to open your eyes. But I need you guys to reciprocate, man. I need you to share with other people. I need you to get people pissed off because we should be pissed off about all the stuff that's going on. Because if we're not pissed off, we're not going to do anything about it. So take that for what it is, man. Love each other. Help one another. Be a force of light in this world. But also, don't be a coward. Be bold. Be courageous. Have strength. Have heart. And stand up for what the fuck is right.